everyone have a sefer? It's better with a sefer.
Safer with the safer.
Like there are 8 of them, most people have their own.
I have my own. I spent most of the time at the beginning, on Sunday, describing the spheros, how this whole system works, ba'erech. When I say ba'erech, I don't know exactly how it works, but ba'erech, how it works. Not just the 7 spheros, which we're a little bit familiar with, but the 10 spheros, which start with the midas ha-keser. So, keser, chachma, bina, chesed, gvur, tiferes, netzach, hod, yesod, malchus, 10 spheros. And the two yesodos that came out of it, without going over the whole thing again, is that when we talk about the spheros, we're talking about probably the best mashal that I can give is we can't understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but somehow or another through the derech of tzimtzum, which is unto itself difficult to understand, but through the derech of tzimtzum, so if we understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, as the Mekubalim give the mashal of an or pashut, a very clear, simple light that goes through a prism, like the thing hanging on your chandelier when you were a kid, that makes the sun come in and turn into all different kinds of colors, like a rainbow. So these are the 7 basic colors of the rainbow, and the 10 is those that are beyond even our comprehension. But so sort of the prism, the prism or the filter of the light, and what it does with the light, what's happening over there is it's breaking up the light into its finest components. So it's all there in the Or Pashut, but it's not something that we can see in terms of gavonim, in terms of different shades of light. It's all there, but it's only broken up through a prism. And even there's those that you see and those that you don't see. And the Keser is that Keser, that which is above the Zayin Midos, let's call it Keser, Chachma, and Bina, to leave Das on the side for a bit, as I explained last time. That's even beyond our understanding. So mentioned once just to have a tzir in our mind, once the words of the Arizal. The Arizal says that if you see a rainbow like Noach did, so a rainbow has the pshat and why a rainbow, when you make a big fountain or something. Why a rainbow of all the different things? The rainbow represents the Gavonei Hashem. In other words, the difference Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus. This is the kiyum of the world. But the Arizal says that's not the Chiddush Arizal. That's Pasha. But that was the symbol of the rainbow. But on the rainbow, you're only seeing the top half. You're only seeing the top half. You're seeing a bow. It's a circle. So the other half is under the ground. You don't get to see it. What it refers to is Isarusa de La'ela and Isarusa de L'Sata. Which is B'diuk our limud, that there's this what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashpia and brings into the world, but then we as the completion, not just the end users of the hashpah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, we're here in the world, we're able to have hanah from the world, but as the end users, not as the end users, but as the completers of the cycle. So this is the part that we don't see. Ironically, we see the part Hashem does, we don't see the part we do. That's ironic. It would make more sense to see the bottom half and not be able to see the top half. But the pshat is you can see the niflois haber. What we don't see is our own niflois.
We don't see them often are called what we do, but that's higher.
So that's the whole Tomer Devorah. The whole Tomer Devorah is not just about emulating; it's about understanding that we're B'Tselem Elokim. It's not just that we can do what Hashem does; that we're the other half of the circle. The Shomer B'nai Yisrael is Shabbos, last is Shabbos. That the first Shabbos is the Shabbos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the end of the Bria, and then last is the Shabbos, then to bring it up to Yom Shekulei Shabbos U'Menucha. So the whole point is to complete the circle. It's a very
7 days as well. Is that
7 days?
So you think the Keser is us? The Keser
We have our own Keser. In other words, we work in the Keser too.
So we have our own Keser, but the so to speak, the original Keser
is Hashem's. But we're B'Tselem Elokim. So B'Tselem Elokim means that we have these spheros too. what I'm getting at, I want to make sure I'm crystal clear because I'm not just playing with words here. What I'm getting at is that we see ourselves, I think, in the world as having to do mitzvahs, to stay away from averos, of behaving in the world. Behave while you're in this world. Be a nice person, give tzedakah, etc. It's not the pshat. The pshat is that it's so much more profound than that. That what Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world, we are the completion. We're there to create the completion of that creation. We're the rest of the rainbow. We're there, like Malachim are there to pull things along. Kadosh Baruch Hu could have done everything himself, presumably, but he didn't. Created through Malachim. So we're also like Malachim, but on a higher level, because to be in this world, to be our man in the world, in the Gashmis world, so then you have to have already Bechira Chavshis, and that's a much more executive type of malach. But it's not that we're here to enjoy the world or to use the world or to behave in the world. We're there to carry on the world of Hashem, to make it what it is. This is a whole different view of ourselves by understanding how the whole world works. So the Keser keeps on going. So the Doma Lakono is it's not even that we just have Bechir Chavshis. It's Doma Lakono. We have all the spheres, including the most hidden spheres of HaKadosh Baruch Hu within us, to be able to push things along and make the world the Malchus Hashem. When we do this, we have the Yom Shekula Shabbos and Menucha, we have the Mashiach. The Pshat Mashiach is a shleimus in the world. The shleimus is what Mashiach means, what Geula means, Geula, revelation, means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world has come to its purpose. Until there's Geula, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as long as people are killing each other, hating each other, and the world has not come to its purpose. This is not Malchus Hashem. So the whole point is to bring the world to become the Malchus Hashem, that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu originally intended, and that's supposed to be done by Jews. This is not that we're supposed to do it, but we're supposed to teach it. We're supposed to do it, of course, but we're supposed to also teach it and be the Orei La'amin, to be able to the world to understand their purpose. Their purpose. If people don't understand their purpose, you're going to do all the wrong things. I was 21 years old. I became the rabbi of a shul, and it was bothering me that nobody cut the grass outside the shul. So I'm in charge here. So I took the lawnmower and I cut the grass. No problem. Cut the grass out of the shul. So the president of the shul came over to me the next day. He said, "Who cut the grass?" So I said, "I did." So he said, "What's up? What we're paying you for?" So here, okay. Balabas 101. Okay, but the emphasis is that he's right. Like if we're in the world and we have a certain tachlis, if we underplay the tachlis even a drop, then we're not doing our tachlis. We're not fulfilling our tachlis. So it's you don't want to pay a surgeon $100,000 to wash the floor in the surgery room, even though it needs to be washed. It's not what it's about. So what it's about is carrying on the process.
So when we have the Beit HaMikdash, we can play music on Shabbos because that's also 7 notes.
Yeah,
that's
okay. Footnote. When we have the Beit HaMikdash, more importantly, that's the big siman that the Malchus Hashem is happening. And the Karbanos are Reich Nechayach LaHashem, but it's not just Karbanos, it's everything is Reich Nechayach LaHashem. The circle is completed, the cycle has completed, and the cycle then gets better and gets more liftic, like the rain cycle is always. So I'm saying this to point out that our job is to push things along. And our job is, the buck doesn't stop here. What it's really about is taking it further, and that's what the Tomer Devorah here calls Anivah. Anavah, as opposed to its most simple pshat, is humble modesty. So Kila Moshe Rabbeinu was an Anam Mikol Adam. He would have come down from Har Sinai, and they said, "Wow, you talk to Hashem, Hashem talked to you, whichever is a bigger chiddush. You got the Torah, amazing, and Moshe Rabbeinu come down, you saved Klal Yisrael and the mice of the eagle. It was nothing. Shum davar, what? Shocks, exactly right. It was a Moshe Rabbeinu says, of course, that's what I did. That's my purpose. That's the Anavah B'Kol Adam. The Anavah B'Kol Adam was, that's my purpose. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to me, let's leave it up here with you and me. We'll figure something out with them. Let's get rid of they're not doing anything. Twice he said that. By Har Sinai he said that, and by the Baraglim he said that. Twice he said that, and twice Moshe Rabbeinu said the same thing, that this is not the tachlis of the whole business. The tachlis is that you created a Klal Yisrael, Rabbi Yaacov. You created a Klal Yisrael. They're supposed to do something over here, and if they don't do it, then the goyim are not going to do it. Lama yoimru hagoyim. If Klal Yisrael's not at it, the goyim are going to do it. The goyim are going to do it. What you make the world for? Just some kind of a thing running around in orbit, some chaos in orbit. There's a tachlis over here. So this is the Anavah B'Kol Adam. It's not an oh shucks as Rabbi Pinchas says. It's a yes. My purpose is for you. Without you, I don't have any purpose. So it gives.
Wanted that reaction from him.
That's his job.
But you see,
It wasn't a chutzpah. Let's put it this way: it wasn't a chutzpah because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So, like, how is he bay his dwarf clapping malo? The answer is this is my job. My job is to be the Sanigoria Hagadol Yisrael. So, which, by the way, while I'm here, it explains the Rashi and the Ramban that what Hashem said to him, Lech Reid Ki Chata Ha'am, descend the mountain, for the people are doing a chet. So Rashi and the Ramban tells you the whole lashon is Lech Reid. Rashi says Migdulascha. Lech Reid Migdulascha. What are you even doing here? If the Am did a chet, what are you even doing here? As the Ramban adds, it's all lashon of Chazal. Klum nasati l'chagdula ela b'shvil Yisrael. You don't have any maila unto yourself. The whole maila that you have is what you're supposed to be giving to Klal Yisrael. There really is nothing else but that. So Lech Reid, what are you doing here? So that was Moshe. That was Hashem telling Moshe Rabbeinu, wake up and defend the people. That's exactly what he was telling. Wake up and defend the people, because if you're not going to do for the people, you see, this is for us an important thing. If you're not going to figure out what you're, by the way, I'm not giving any musser here. I'm just saying how the world works. Here's under the hood the mechanism. If you're not going to do for other people, then there's no reason why you have the talents that you have, the cost that you have, the money that you have, the personality that you have. It's nothing. It's nothing. I'm just if you'll allow me to pontificate for a moment, I'm just like, you grow up, let's say, in the United States. I don't know how it is in Africa or England, but if you grow up in the United States, it's all about, ambition and what are your goals, and I want to become a millionaire by the time I'm 40. I need to drive around in that Jaguar convertible when I'm 35. It's all about set your goals, work for your goals. Yeah, I'm not. The whole goal is a selfish goal. The whole goal is what have I accomplished, and it's such an abuse of the entire life and world, because I also want to. I will not become a millionaire by the time I'm 40. I would see us. I missed that part. But the whole goal to think about, if we're thinking about our goals as human beings in the know, is to figure out what I can do for other people, be it my children, my family, the community, Klal Yisrael, whatever it might be. So, I was reading an article yesterday. Wasn't feeling well, so I was reading an article, I think in Moment magazine or something like that. So it was an article about the big Yerida of, I think they were talking about Russians, but it could have been anyone, to leaving Eretz Yisrael and going en masse to Nova Scotia. Okay. The only thing I know about Nova Scotia is my father told me that he sailed by it and waved. It's Nova Scotia. Wasn't interested in the old Scotland or not the new one, it's in Nova Scotia.
Locks.
Locks, yeah, Nova Locks. There you go. All right, so Yiddish place. No, they're what were they saying? Saying something which was so severe, like came from Russia, came to the story of a Jew. I mean, they came from Russia. So did my great grandparents come from Russia. I mean, came from Russia, came to Eretz Yisrael, but and it's certainly better. But you have to live in a small apartment on the 4th floor and trip over the carriages, and you can never really get rich over here. Wealth is just for an elite few in Safon Tel Aviv. How many people here are actually going to get wealthy? Like it seems to be. Like you have to belong to a certain family or something to go. Well, so you move to Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia, so have a big house and 2 cars in the driveway. So life seems to work. I think Russia's true of all of us. This is the basic machshava of a person, but they had the decency to at least articulate it. But what's wrong with this? That they're tzedakah shenishmu. They don't have the basic chinuch to understand this. That's not what it's about. It's not about having the 2 cars in the driveway or having this. Okay, yeah, but that's how that's not. I mean, it's a drag, but that's not what it's about. What it's about is what are you doing for the generation that's coming after you. So I'm telling you, the thing to do for a generation coming after you is not to move to Nova Scotia. That's not where it's at. So it's like all about continuing. So let me just, before we go inside, I just want to share something with you. I saw there's a wonderful sefer, Chassidish sefer, Kabbalah sefer called the Sidurei Shel Shabbos. So the Sidurei Shel Shabbos, he writes there, that there's 2 mitos. If he's talking about the Kabbalistic chart of the spheros. So there's 2 mitos which are opposites and very close to each other. He says there's the midah of kina, of being jealous, and the midah of pride, being proud. Like if somebody comes over to you and says, "Your son is a gon, an ilui," anybody feel jealous? That's what you're supposed. You feel proud. You feel proud. First of all, it says something about me. Clearly, even though we all say, "Oh, that's my wife," but in fact, I brought him up right. It says something about me. But second of all, intuitively, that's the whole point. The whole point is we want our children to be better than us. So it means that we're accomplishing what we're supposed to be accomplishing. If people say more about my children than say about us, nothing. What could give a person more simcha? On the other hand, if somebody comes over and says, "Wow, your brother is such a tremendous Elohi, much better than you." So, what's the what do you do with that? Okay, now I'm not sure whether to feel proud or to feel jealous. On the one hand, I'm proud of my brother. It does say a little bit about me, very little. So old Polish Yid once told me, he says, Esav was much better off than Yaakov, because Esav was able to say, "I have a brother Yaakov." What can Yaakov say? Because Yaakov's supposed to say But okay, so all of a sudden, the midah of pride turns into the midah of jealousy. Kavah if it's not your brother, if it's not somebody else, your classmate, somebody else in the world. So the Siddur Shel Shabbos explains Kabbalistically that the 2 midos are actually the same midah, just one is used being corrupted and one isn't being corrupted. So the same energy, for instance, which allows me to be proud, can cause me to be jealous if I'm not an Anav. The Anav means, the way we're understanding Anivos, is that I'm able to pass things on to next. Understanding that I'm a link in the chain and I'm not the end of the chain is Anivos. Anivos doesn't mean, I'm a nothing. Anivos means that this is what I'm for on Har Sinai, to help you. So if I've helped you, I'll be proud of you. If a person would be, let's say, a doctor or a therapist or something, and you've helped someone, so that's your greatest pride. You're not jealous of the person. It's a pliyat summa to me, by the way. I do, even though I'm unqualified for this, I do my share of Shalom Bayis counseling. Also because I don't like to push them away, but I don't know how to do Shalom Bayis counseling. But Baruch Hashem, we're Batzliach, let's see how to do Shmai. But it's a pellet to me sometimes how husbands and wives are actually jealous of each other. It's an amazing thing, instead of being proud of each other. It's not like he gets all the covet, she makes all the money. like or whatever society we live in. I get mixed up. it's like if you could just take the energy of it's subtle. Nobody's going to say it. It's subtle, but if you could take the energy of jealousy and turn it into pride, so then you've changed around the whole chessboard here. And it's so often the case that jealousy can turn to pride. So if you want to do an avoda, if you see somebody who's like a gadol, even if you didn't make them into a gadol, but really wonderful personality, very smart, accomplishing a lot, like to be proud of the person. I'm proud of you. Do you know that we're all looking for nachas. Like more than we're looking for nachas, there's nothing no stronger a need in the world than for somebody to have nachas from you. You feel when your parents pass away, there's nobody left to have nachas for. Who cares if I accomplish something? I don't accomplish anything like it. You want somebody to have nachas for you. It's you hope in Shammai maybe they're having nachas for you. Like we want somebody to have a little nachas from us. So it's such an unbelievable chesed to do, to have some nachas from somebody. Have nachas from another Jew. Wow, I've always have nachas from you. This is the ultimate in Anivos. If we understand, excuse me, if we understand that it's not about my ambition. This is what I need to get, and Kilu, you took mine. It's about giving over. So then it's a whole different story. And that's the anivus that the Tomer Devorah describes of giving, taking it past you. I had the following diak in Chumash this morning. I was thinking about this. That the Torah says in Ba'aloischa, "Vatadaber Miriam ba'Aaron b'Moshe al odos ha'isha hakushis asher lokach." That Miriam and Aaron started to talk about their brother Moshe and the Isha Hakushis. And what did they say? Vayomer harak ach b'Moshe diber Hashem. Like of all things to say, they say, "Oh, married Hakushis." Vayomer harak ach b'Moshe diber Hashem. Like Gambanu diber. Hashem only spoke to Moshe. We're also Nevi'im. Hashem spoke to Aaron. History records. Hashem spoke to Miriam Anavah. So like was Moshe like? Why was this? What does this have to do with the Isha Kushis? More perplexing is the Vayishma Hashem. What reaction? Hashem heard this conversation. Wow. Vayishma Hashem. Hashem was listening to this conversation. You never know.
You always know.
What's the next pasuk? Vayish Moshe Anav Ma'od Mikola Adam Asher Al Pnei Adam. What's the kasher? Moshe marries an Isha Kushis, and Rashi says doesn't have relations, separates from him. Miriam and Aaron talk about him. What are they talking about him? We're also Nevi'im. Asma. Somebody told you you're not Nevi'im? Moshe Rabbeinu's reaction is no reaction. Ha'ish Moshe Anav Ma'od. I think the Ramban said no reaction. Ha'ish Moshe Anav Ma'od Mikol Ha'adam Asher Al Pnei Ha'adam. Anavah, I saw the Das Zakenim spelled chaser here. Ayin Nun Vav. There's no Yud. If you spell it out, explode those letters. Ayin is Aleph. Ayin Yud Nun. Right? Nun is Nun Vav Nun. Right? And let me explode it out. You come to the gematria of Ramach. So Ramach, that's the amount. Ramach Ivarm, which is Gideon, means that he was an Anav. Every part of him was an Anav Mikol Adam. What's Makesher? The kasher is that there was a quantifiable difference between the nevuah of Miriam and Aaron and the nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu. They were tzaddikim, without question. But Moshe Rabbeinu was the Anav Mikol Adam. And this is what Hashem went on to say. That Moshe Rabbeinu, his whole nevuah was for Klal Yisrael. It's not about that, we've also reached the spiritual high of Moshe Rabbeinu. We're also reached this kind of a state, I don't want to use the Goyish words, we've also achieved this great state, and we're not acting like Moshe. And Hashem says, Vayishma Hashem listens to this, and then makes a statement, which was written by Moshe, interestingly. It makes a statement that, Ma Kesher, your nevuah, his nevuah. It's not about the quality of the nevuah. It's not even about aspaklaria ha'meira and aspaklaria she'ena meira. It's about ha'ish Moshe Anavah mikol adam. Everything about Moshe is to give to the next generation. Everything about Moshe was to save the Jewish people. Everything. So you can compare over here your nevuah to Moshe Rabbeinu, but you can't compare it in the world of reality, because ha'ish Moshe Anavah mikol adam. And he said that it was the same thing, by the way, when Korach said, what about me? What about us? Vayipol Moshe al panav. Same thing. He understood, true, we all stood at Har Sinai, we're all Levim, we're all Rosh Sanhedrius, all the time as the Korach said. But that's true, we're not talking about what spiritual experience you may have had. Maybe you have a higher spiritual experience than I do. But the point is, Vayipol al panav, that Moshe Rabbeinu was the Anavah mikol adam. It's not about me, I'm a link in the chain. And being a link in the chain is a whole different story. And being the link and not the end of the chain, you understand, is the difference between being proud of somebody and being jealous of somebody. So whenever you find yourself being jealous of somebody, that means you think, well, it's supposed to smagi ali. Whereas if you take the energy and just put another link underneath it, then you can be proud. So whenever you find yourself being, I'm saying this like it's easy, it's not easy, but it's hard. It's a struggle, but it's an avoda. Whenever you find yourself being a little bit jealous, you can turn it into pride. Gemara says there's only two places where there's no ayin hara, which means there's no jealousy. One is that av l'bnai and rav l'talmidai. After that, there's there's jealousy both in Gashmis, Ruchnius, according to whatever your madrega is. But if you could become, you have to imagine like you're just a chain, a golden link, but you're only a link in the chain, not the chain itself. So, okay, so I didn't find this spear in the Rishonim, but it might have some truth to it. I want to be medayik here in the lashon. Tomer Devorah says, "Oidli as adam doima l'koinai beside midas hakeser." That ode. Furthermore, funny way to start a chapter. Sarich liyos ha'adam doima l'koinai. A person must be like Hashem, like his Creator. Besod midas hakeser. Sarich shiyu by kava gufei pa'ulai shem ikar anhagim. And we spoke about the unapproachable, the uncomprehensible part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and also the quality, as I called it, the incomprehensible part about ourselves and our own human brain that doesn't show up in an X-ray. And here what we're being asked to do is to be doma to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the part that we don't understand. After what we don't understand, but you be like that. And that's why he says that it's because who understands the Kesser. So I just want to point out something that I realized, that if you go back to the very beginning of Tomer Devorah in Perek Sheini, we may have skipped this word. He talks about how a person is created b'tzelem Elokim, even in the Hakdama. And he says in the Hakdama, Lefichach, and therefore, Roy sheyadame El Pulois HaKeser. He says at the beginning, he doesn't say that you should be Doma, your Tzelem Elokim be Doma to Hashem. You should be Doma to Hashem how? B'Pu'ulois HaKeser. Pu'ulois HaKeser. So we're talking about Keser way back. Why Keser? Shehein Shloishas Re'midois Shel Rachmim El Yoinois. Because there lie the Shloishas Re'midois. Hafel V'Vela. We understood until now. I think I don't see anybody discuss this, but it's so clear that we understood that. Okay, first we're going to go at. There's two angles here. First, we're going to go at comparing ourselves and emulating Hashem from a Shloishas Re'midois point of view. And now let's take another point of view, which is the Eser Sfiros point of view, Perek Beis. No, this is a continuation. Until now, we're learning about the Yud Gimel Midos, which is where are those Yud Gimel Midos Shel Rachamim? Where do they emulate from? Where do they emanate from? Thank you. Where do they emanate from? From the Midas HaKeser. That's the whole thing comes from Kesser. We didn't even get to Sphira Beis. We didn't get to Chachma yet. The whole Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim are all in the Kesser. So now that we said that, let's talk about the Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim, Perek Aleph, Perek Beis, Oid Liyos Adam Doim Elokaina B'Soid Midos HaKesser. Let's go back to where we came from, which is the Midas HaKesser, and look at the rest of Lashon. So sheyiyu by kama gufay peulois shem ikar anhaga hakdama roy shidam el peulois HaKesser shem shloishes remidas harachim el yoynais. And what we need to do, if you look up one sentence, ma yoyoli hoises katsura yoyna dumus tavnas evar ube peulois lo yiduma lokainai. So enachalavi we can't understand necessarily the Kesser. But we can understand what we have to do in a Kesser-dika way.
That's the Das Shabbat?
We're not yet up to Das.
But I'm saying
Yeah, Das is correct. Das is the derech, the avoda Shabbat. Let me tell you what I think it means. What I think it means is, you remember I said this many times at the beginning, middle, and end, that the people tend to say, especially when you learn Tomer Devorah, you say, well, don't be jealous. Look, I'm only human. This seems to be the amasla, I'm only human. So I've said this many times, that human is a very, very big thing. There's no such bitui as I'm only human. I'm human. Not just a malach. I'm human. So human is big. Why is human big? Because human is a repetition of the Eser Spherois of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, the bottom half of the rainbow. So what we're talking about, there's what we think we can do and what we think we can't do. And then the knowledge that we're B'Tselem Elokim, so therefore, okay, I don't understand it, but I can do it. Meaning our abilities to perform in a godly fashion go way beyond what science tells us it can go, or what we think we can do. Because we think of ourselves as only human, but if you think of yourself as superhuman, human being a super thing, so then what it means is that we're back to the Midas HaKesser again. All of those Yud Gimel Midos that were so hard to do, they can only be done because we're Davik HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Midas HaKesser, and it's taka unknown. It is unknown how Hashem does it. It's unknown how we can do it, but a person can do it. There's a siyata d'shmaya that a person can do it. What can we do? Can we pick up a car? What we could do is, it's not about heavy muscle activities, it's about heavy spiritual ability. What we're able to do is go beyond what everybody considers to be human and do things which are godly. Forgive somebody who really hurt us. That's harder than picking up a car. That there shouldn't be that feeling of hurt, that there should be a feeling of forgiveness, real forgiveness, and all of the 13 things that we learned and reviewed. This all comes from the Midas HaKesser. So what we're saying here is, again, I don't think there's any other pshat to learn, that until now we were describing to you Kesser, which is the Yud Gimel Midos. Now we're describing to you something else, which is Od Liyos Adam Doim Elokaina, because furthermore in Kesser is the Midas HaNavah. So let me do the math for you. The math goes like this: that we're learning about Kesser. We're learning about one thing and we don't understand it. In the Kesser comes 13 Midos HaRachamim. Hashem Kel Racham V'Chanam, or the Lashon of Micha Mikel Kamocha. That's all in the Kesser. Now in Perek Beis he says that the Iker and the Rishayna of Midas HaKesser is what? Anavah. So it comes out, here's the math, that the Pshat in doing all the Yud Gimel Midos HaRachamim all comes down to one thing, which is Anavah.
It's the prerequisite.
The prerequisite and the frame of everything. If you're not an Anavah, you can't be Rachum, you can't be Chanun, you can't be Erech HaPayim, you can't do any of it.
Above time and space.
So the idea of Anivus, he's telling us here so profoundly. Such a shame people stop at the end of the first paragraph, because here he's telling us the whole thing. And you want to bo chavakuk behamido alachas. You can take everything and turn it into one thing. So he says the ikar of the Midas HaKesser is Anavah. And what's Anavah? Let's just before we end. And what's Anavah one more time? Anavah is not the I'm a nothing, because that's not helpful. What Anavah is, Hayish Moshe Anav Ma'od Mikol Adam Asher Ba'aretz. The pshat in Anavah is that I'm only here for the next person. I'm only here for even more so for the Malchus of Hashem. You see, this is the Gedolim, the Tzaddikim told us that the way to daven is to never daven for yourself. Spell about Chaver and then Tchila. The way to daven, if you want to be Matzliach, it's tricky because then the way to daven, if you want to be Matzliach, is to understand that I'm not davening for me, I'm davening so that I can help other people. If you want to be Maspalo for Parnasa, let's say, the way to be Maspalo for Parnasa is not, listen, please Hashem, I want 2 cars in Nova Scotia. The way to daven for Parnasa is to say, how else can I help my children? How else can I help Klal Yisrael? How else can I have the kavod ein hashchina sharoi el al chacham asher v'gibor? So everybody's entitled to daven. The Sfarim tell us to be a chacham. Right? Do we want anything more? Chacham means that we have the smarts and the wisdom to be able to function at a very high level. The gevura chacham ashir rather than ashirus. The ashirus is we can function on a very high level financially, and gevura, and we're healthy. What else do we want to ask for? So we're asking for those things. Why? Because I want the Shekhinah to be shari on me. If I'm asking because I want to be a chacham, an ashir, and a gibor, okay, miyodea. Who knows? Do you have the schos? You don't have the schos? Probably not. Probably not. Why? Probably not. But if I'm looking at it as I need this in order to do my job in this world, because I am the Mishkan Hashem. Bilvavi Mishkan Evna. I'm the Mishkan. I'm the Mishkan Hashem. So in order for me to have Nevuah, in order for me to teach other people, in order for me to influence other people, in order for me to give tzedakah, in order for me to be a link in the chain, I need 3 things, Hashem. Chachma, Ashirus, and Gevura. Okay, you got it. It's not for you, it's for me, it's for them. You're just a link in the chain. It's done. Baduk Manusa. This is a tefillah that works. Almost Baduk Manusa. So I'll tell you a halacha. I'll end off here with a halacha. There's so much to say here, but we have time. The halacha is, the Marshal says about the Kama, I think, the Yam Shel Shlomo. The Marshal says that if a person makes a statement that, I get much more than I have much more in life than I deserve. Sounds nice? Like you wake up in the morning, like, it's good, it's a nice machshava, right? Like, wow, if I wake up in the morning, it's a nice day. Automatically, and I'm breathing, and I have parnasa, and I have a wife, and I have children. Like, I have much more to deserve. So it's Marshal Osir Loy Merkei. Okay. Osir Loy Merkei, party boomer. Osir Loy Merkei, he called out Omer Shakadosh Baruch Hu Vatrin, whom Vatrin Loy Min HaShavayim. What do you say? Because Baruch Hu gives you more to deserve, you should get more to deserve. As Marshal says, La halacha. You're not allowed to say HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Bavater, and he gives me much more than I deserve. That's the wrong thing to say. Elaba Yoimar says the Marshal, Babakava, beautiful Marshal, where you wouldn't expect to find it, not a Musar Seif, in the Yam Shel Shlomo. He says, Elaba Yoimar, B'schus Avos. B'schus Avos, I have much more than I deserve, because of what my father, grandfather, all the way back to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov did. Baruch Hashem, isn't it true that if somebody has a tremendous amount of mazel, it's chusavos. It comes, I believe the Magen Avram, if I'm not mistaken, I have to find the Magen Avram. There's a long Magen Avram where he speaks about all kinds of miscellaneous things and H. Beis, maybe something like that. So the Magen Avram says that it's also okay that if you say, I have much more than I deserve, b'schus haboim acharai. Means that it's okay to go that way, it's okay to go this way, it's not good to stay here. So this is the ultimate anivus that either I had, and probably there's no steer, right? They both have us. I have schus avos. Why? Why do I have schus avos? Because I am going to be one of those avos. I'm going to be my children's grandfather, right? I'm going to have the schus avos of being able to give on to the next generation. Hence, I could say Hashem gives me much more than I deserve. I'm allowed to say it, not a voucher, and it makes sense. And so I'll add this. Haber adds this, and you should say it. And you should say it, because once we know the secret of the chain, so now it becomes perfect to be able to say, that Hashem give me chachma, ashirus, and gevura. Mental capacity, we don't want to lose that. We want that to be stronger. Financial capacity and health. But that's what we want. Give it to me because I'm going to use it well. Give it to me, I'm going to use it well. Your mama should become like a teller in the bank who says to the manager, I'm running out of cash here. More money you want. Customers are coming. I got to give them cash. I need more cash here. So the manager comes with the key. Blah blah blah. Gives $1 million cash. But nobody's complaining to the clerk, to the teller. You're using too much money. On the contrary, you're doing a good job. Everybody wants to stand in your line. You're doing a good job. It's a good thing. So that's the anivos that we're speaking about in Perek Aleph and Perek Beis.
Where's the Magen Avraham?
I think where he speaks about Bal Tomer, he has a bunch of missiles. There's a number.
Near the beginning of
Or in the middle. Or Chaim, Reish, around Tfilas Mincha, around there.
Ah, okay.
Let me ask, why did Moshe Cordovero feel the need to write the Sefer in the first place? Like, what was going on at the time that was missing?
Yeah. And why did he call Tomer Devorah?
Right, yeah.
I don't know the full answer. I'm sure there's a very complex historical answer. But one thing I do know is that right after the Spanish Inquisition and the expulsion from Portugal and Spain, so there was a big movement to organize everything and get it back to where there was a lot of confusion with Christianity on the one hand. So I think, and with halachas and minhagim, everything got lost. So that's why Rabbi Yaakov wrote what he wrote, and the Arizal wrote what he wrote, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero what he wrote. I think more specifically, the Christians made a huge roshim, and they used a lot of the idea of being B'Tselem Elokim. It was like a big part of that a human can look like Kadosh Baruch Hu, and the underlying understanding of the Tomer Devorah is that the idea of a man walking around thinking that he's God is completely untenable philosophically. It doesn't make any sense. But what it means is something so much deeper and so much more profound, and that's where we have to look at it. Hence the Sefer. So you see how a negative time in history brought out such a positive libud that would never have been taught, if not that it needed to be understood, what it really means to be B'Tselem Elokim.